So a few weeks ago on this truck, I decided to put these backup lights on, and I'm finding that they're extremely bright. So one of the things I want to do is I actually want to switch them from this system here where they're triggered off of the backup lights behind the taillight to a system that's controlled by a switch. So I got this direct wire kit from F150LEDs that comes with all the hardware to do that. So in this video, we're gonna go step by step installing this direct wire lighting kit. All right, so in this kit, they give you everything that you need to make it work, and you can see pretty much all the wiring is here. So we have the main harness here, which connects to the battery or 12-volt source. And then you have the relay here, which is controlled by those two cables, which connect to those two switches. And then we have this over here, which is going back to the taillights, and then we have each one of the connectors back there, which are essentially extensions to be able to bring this from the back of this to the back of the truck. So we're gonna go ahead and get this installed. All right, so one of the first things I'm gonna do to make sure that this goes smoothly is I'm actually gonna test out the wiring harness on the battery itself before I run it through the truck. This is gonna allow me to make sure I understand how everything operates so that I can wire it up correctly and I have the switches in the right location. Now, I really like that this setup comes pre-fused. So there's a fuse on the positive wire here, and that's nice because that is something that you have to do if you're gonna build this yourself. But for the price and setting this up, it's really not too bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and, we're just gonna test this out first. So I'm just gonna run it temporarily off of one of these nuts. And there is a fuse in here, right? Yep, 15 amps. So that's enough to drive those. So having this fused is really important. So if you're making something like this yourself, you need to do this anyway. So adding that fuse there is going to add some extra protection if for some reason the wire was to come in contact with ground, the positive wire, and it would melt. So that fuse would pop and it would save the truck. So important to have. So let's go ahead and let's connect this out to the back, see how everything looks, and then we'll go ahead and figure out how we're actually going to run it on this truck. I can see why I need the extensions too. So these extensions are just going to plug right in here. And with these plugged in, I can just run it directly to the back. Then I'm going to go ahead and plug in the two switches that come with it as well, so I can figure out what these do. Then I'm going to go ahead and plug in the wires underneath. Now the nice thing is, since when I set this up, I left it all plug and play, I can essentially just plug it in at both of those locations, and I have them both zip tied up in a good location. So it's going to be easy to clip up and install. All right, so both are connected now. You can see the power is on. Let's go take a look at the switches up here. That one is green. This one is green too. Still green. Still green. For the switches, there's two different operations. For these are the ambient lights or the convenience lights on them. So they look really good. I do like that they're amber. I don't plan on using these that much, for a rear lit truck for backup lights. They're not really that useful for me. But when I push the other switch, those, and turn those off, turn these on. Now with that, that's kind of what I'm going for. So with that switch, I can be able to take this and turn those lights on, so I do have access to the backup lights. And that's what I'm going for. It's, my use case, if you saw it in the video that I did previous, was I have a trailer that I'm trying to back up my driveway. It's really dark, so being able to switch these lights on when needed is really important for me. So this is what I'm looking for, one switch that runs both of the backup lights on this truck, and it's doing that right now. Let's go ahead and look at the wiring, just how I have it set up. So I'm only running one of the wires there, and it's going directly to that switch. So I guess one of the decisions that I get to make with this is how am I powering it? So you can go directly off the battery, but one of the things you need to know if you're going directly off the battery is if you do install it there, you're always going to have power. You need to make sure that these are turned off. The other option is off of a switched source. So you need to find the source that's switched so you can run the power from there. So I guess the options really are the battery itself, or you can run it off somewhere on the trailer line where there's 12 volts. But all you really need is a 12 volt switched source. All right, so to install these, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run the cable from the battery up and over the back. I'm gonna run it around and down that way, mainly because I wanna make sure that the wiring for the switch is on the driver's side. We'll see if we have enough cabling for that, but it shouldn't be too bad. I'm just gonna run it up and around the engine. Now, running this thing, not as interesting as you would expect. I think I'm gonna try to run around under and above the spare tire. So now that everything's wired, we're going to go ahead and get the switch in. And to do the switch, I'm just going to run it underneath the rug up here. So I'm going to show you how I got to this area. And my plan is to just use an X-Acto knife, cut a small little slit in there, and be able to push the wire up and into the cabin. This gives me good access of the cabin. It also allows me to run the wire anywhere that I want to up here and have easy access to it. So to get into this area here, all you have to do is pull this piece off. It just pulls straight up and out just like that. And then I just lifted the rug up and you can see it down there. So I'm just gonna put a small slit in there with an X-Acto knife and then just run the wire up to here to where I want it to be. Haven't decided where I'm gonna put it yet, so temporarily it's gonna be underneath here. I'm gonna make it just big enough so that I can pass this through without causing any issues. All right, so I was able to get the wiring up and in here. You know, it looks good. I just need to find a place to put this. I think I'm gonna hide it under the dash so that no one accidentally hits it, since I am running it directly off the battery. And if it does get accidentally hit and the lights do go on, that means the battery's gonna drain. So it's something I need to watch out for. So for now, I think I'm gonna actually mount this up here in a place that no one knows is there but me. All right, a few days later, I have all this installed. Now, I ended up mounting the switch actually right on the opposite side here. So to get to it, you actually have to reach up and behind and turn it on. So there is no way for me to accidentally kick this, which I do like. There is a panel here. I'll try to do my best to get you a shot of this. But, you know, it does look, it's nice, it's hidden. I just need to put those wires up, but you can hear, click on, click off. And I ended up really liking these lights. If you could do me one favor and just go ahead and subscribe to this channel and like this video. It really helps push these videos out in the algorithm a lot. And by doing that, it helps me do more cool projects like this 1994 Mustang that we're swapping over the ECU on, or this 69 Mustang that we're doing these projects here on, or all the projects and mods that I'm doing on my F-150. This really was a simple install. It only took like a half an hour after I figured out where I wanted all the wires to go. And because of that, you know, nice and easy. Now, because of that, I have much better control over the rear reverse lights. And when I'm in parking garages and when I'm in my work parking lot and the supermarket, I'm not blinding who's behind me when I'm backing up. So thanks for tuning in this week on Smackey's Garage. I'll see you next time.